Hello, everyone. This is Lindsay Bowen with LDS Women Thriving. I'm here with my guest today, Kimberly. Going to share a little bit about Kimberly and then we'll get started. Kimberly was born in Arizona and she's lived here most of her life. She's the oldest of 5 siblings and elementary music teacher. She loves doing anything artistic or creative, such as drawing, painting, poetry, songwriting. She's an avid reader and graduated with her bachelor's degree from NAU. She's a pretty cool gal, and she's my ward, and I really enjoy specifically her musical skills. She directs our
Cute.
choir. She's awesome. Okay, so Kimberly, if you want to add anything to that, in addition to sharing your health journey, what does that look like from the very beginning?
Yeah, I guess I can start from the very beginning. It feels like a million years ago, but yeah, I worked for a company, probably everyone's heard of it, Harkins Theaters, a very long time ago, before I went to NAU for my bachelor's degree. And I had a couple symptoms of different things. Oh, and maybe I should tell you what the actual condition is.
That's
So the
fine.
condition is called Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome. I'm probably completely mispronouncing it, even though I have it. It is called EDS. It is becoming more common for people to know it, but at the time, not many people knew what it was or the issues that come with it. So going backwards now, basically, I was working there and I had noticed a couple of things that weren't right. I didn't necessarily feel the best. And I was at work one day and I was sitting on a chair doing some cleaning or something. And I stood up and I started walking and my legs gave out. And I just fell flat on my face and was just laying there on the floor. And my friend started laughing because I had a friend in there with me working, and she started laughing, thinking that I tripped on something. And I said, "I can't feel my legs." And she's, "What? Hold on." And so she came over, and we were able to get me up. And of course, we had to put a report in because it could be considered like a workplace injury, all the fun little
Yeah.
intricacies. And it just didn't seem normal. And over the course of the next couple months, I started having more things where my legs were doing weird stuff and I was having tingling and it really bad headaches, and I ended up going to a neurologist at first, if I remember correctly. It's a little blurry. It's been a while. And they were looking into trying to find out what it was, like if I was having migraines and was causing all these problems, or they're considering maybe multiple sclerosis because my mom's aunt, so I guess that would be my great aunt, she has always had problems and they had diagnosed her with multiple sclerosis. So it was like in the family line.
Yeah.
So they were looking into that and everything came back inconclusive and they're like, we don't really know what's going on. And I had done something to my back in the meantime, and so I ended up going to an orthopedic. And the orthopedic sent me to physical therapy, and he wasn't really sure what was going on, but he's like, maybe we can strengthen your back and it can help things. So I went to that physical therapist, and funny enough, that if I remember correctly, that physical therapist was like, I think I might know what you have. And she had done a number of tests, and there's like a scale that they use in physical therapy for like your flexibility, and it's like from 1 to 10. And she had done the test and I was actually at 11, meaning that I was hypermobile. And so she's, I think I know what you have. And she said it's in our medical textbooks, but we never think anybody could have it because it's not the first thing we think of. And she's like, I think you have something called EDS. And if I remember at the time, I think there was only so many types of it. So my particular is type 3. It's a hypermobile one, but there's multiple different ones. There's ones that particularly are for your heart. Some of them are for more your joints, but you can actually have bits and pieces of each one in your specific type. So she was like, with the migraines and stuff, that's more going into, again, your whole body's connective tissues. So that could be causing your migraines. With your things with your legs giving out, that's more nerve based. And I actually, a long time ago when I was very little, I was born with a heart condition. I was born with a hole in my heart. And she said that could have been like a really early indication that there was an issue with your connective tissues in your body. And so she gave me a bunch of different exercises to do and basically said, I think this is what you have. You need to go see a specialist. So I went and saw a rheumatologist and arthritis doctor because the ones that are specifically for EDS, they usually don't take insurance. So it's very expensive to be able to go see a specialist. And I got very lucky because now my doctor that I see now doesn't take EDS patients anymore. So I actually got grandfathered in to be able to still see my specialist because this kind of pushed my other family members that had issues to go see if this was like something they might have. And I personally think that it's possible that my great aunt might actually have EDS and not multiple sclerosis because a lot of people who are diagnosed with multiple sclerosis actually have EDS and they don't even know because it's not very common. So I had gone to that rheumatologist and they're like, okay, we have to do a number of tests. They were checking my heart because a lot of people who have my condition have heart problems and did a whole bunch of testing for that. In the meantime, my insurance stopped giving me visits to be able to see the physical therapist. And I had to go back to my orthopedic to get another request to put in to see if my insurance would approve more visits because they're like, we need to keep helping you. And I went to the medical office and I was in the room and the medical assistant came in and she was asking me like how everything was going and I was telling her this is what's going on, and I actually turned on my right knee to go sit on the medical table and I had a full traumatic dislocation. So my kneecap went out. I actually grabbed my knee as I went down because I didn't want to shatter my kneecap. I did not scream. I was very proud of myself. I didn't even cry. I like full on adrenaline, and she's just standing there. What the heck just happened? And so she helps me to sit up in a chair. I hear her talking in the hallway to my doctor. I think she just dislocated her knee. And he's like, what? And just a bunch of crazy stuff. So I don't know how I did this. I think this is like totally the Lord helping in this because I actually walked on my dislocated knee to go get an x-ray to make sure that I didn't break anything. And I remember the tech asking me if I could straighten my leg as my kneecap is out. And I'm like, no, my kneecap's not in right now. Can't do that. And they did the x-ray. Obviously, nothing was broken. It was dislocated, and the doctor popped it back in. My mom actually didn't believe that I had done it because I found out that I swell internally, and I didn't know that until they did an MRI. So I didn't swell up like a normal person who dislocates a knee. Everything was internal. And I tore basically all my ligaments, my ACL, my MCL, my meniscus, everything. And so I walked back into my physical therapist's office with more visits, but for a different reason. Exactly. And she's like, what did you do? And I said, oh, I just looked at my knee. And she's like, it's that EDS. And just like more things started popping up. And it is said that as you get older, it gets worse. So it makes sense that more things are popping up as they get older. A lot of people don't fully know that they have it because it's little things that aren't really distinct. So you start to have really significant issues around 1920, which is about the time that I started having issues with my legs. Basically, was going along this whole entire thing, all this stuff, I just remembered. So when I went back to my rheumatologist, she wanted to get me some genetic testing because she wanted to confirm everything. And I'm totally misremembering everything now that I just realized. And she sent all my stuff to a geneticist in Phoenix at Mayo Clinic. And that specific geneticist confirmed what my physical therapist thought that I might have. And the medical assistant called me. I still remember her name. Her name was Amy. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. And she said, so the doctor can't help you. And I said, okay. And she said, but we can tell you for sure what you have. And she said, you have something called EDS, type 3, and you're hypermobile. So it basically confirmed everything that everyone was thinking, that I had some sort of connective tissue disorder, where my physical therapist thought I had something along those lines. And it was just all those things. And she basically told me there's no cure and it will get worse as I get older. And all that I can do to basically combat it is to do physical therapy and pain management for the rest of my life. And I was like, that's fantastic. So, long story short, how this all went, fell at work, went to orthopedic. Orthopedic sent me to physical therapy. The physical therapy person thought, oh, I think you might have this, but I'm not sure. It might be this. Sent me to a rheumatologist and arthritis doctor. The arthritis doctor sent me to the geneticist. The geneticist came back and confirmed it. And then that's where I am now.
It's just a doctor visit party. So it sounds
It was really very much. I'm keeping very much many medical offices in business. It gets very expensive to be able to maintain my condition. So there is many a time where I don't even see certain specialists because I can't afford it. It is very difficult. I rely a lot on faith that the day won't be too bad, and basically flying by the seat of my pants. Basically just trying to take each day at a time. Some days are worse than others. I have really bad flare-ups where I'm just in pain, and there's nothing that I can do about it. It just is what it is. And I've had to wear a lot of braces. A lot of people will have it pretty bad where they actually have finger braces because they'll dislocate their fingers. And I have not gone to that point yet. I've had to have surgery in my hand though because I had to pop a ligament because me being a pianist, I guess you could say the word extended or overused my hands. And so
Mhm.
they had to pop a ligament in my hand so that I wasn't in pain. And I have constant issues with all of that. And I do have palpitations because of the EDS, so I have to be on heart medication, and I'm not even 30 yet. So I just have all these medications that I have to take every day, and it's really frustrating because you get to a point, as probably a lot of people can relate, is you just don't want to take this stuff anymore.
You're
You're
just
sick and
tired.
tired of it. You're tired. You don't want to keep going to doctor's appointments. I technically should be in physical therapy all the time, and I can't do it because it's too expensive and your insurance only gives you so much. And I don't even remember last time I saw my rheumatologist or my arthritis doctor. And it just like one thing after the other. I actually recently was having issues with my feet where I couldn't walk. And they ended up having to put injections in my feet. And they had done an x ray of my feet, and they said that actually I have arthritis in all of my toes. And I'm not even 30 yet, and I keep breaking toes. I have broken fingers. It's just one thing after the other where it's just very frustrating.
And this is all of malfunctioning of connective tissue throughout your body.
Yes, exactly. So it creates so much inflammation in my body that it just constant issues. And I hope that made sense. I know that was
Yeah.
a crazy train
No,
ride of doctors and
that's what it
yeah, I'm
usually
so sorry.
is. It's usually a journey, a medical
Yeah.
journey. And then once diagnosed, that's its own journey of
Yes.
acceptance
And
and
I could be
almost,
completely misremembering because it was like literally 8 years ago, and
no, you're
I
good.
is a whole bunch of visits and doctors and
You feel like you've had to go through the grief process of try
yeah,
almost like mourning loss of what you wish you could do, and
yes.
what's that looked like?
It's been really hard. There's been a lot of tears, a lot of frustration, that kind of wish to be normal and not have to deal with that. It affects every aspect of my life. Like I've been told by my doctor I can't go to the gym by myself because of the risk of hurting myself. I can't play sports because I can hurt myself. Um, just it's very hard for me to be active, and I want to be active and I want to go to the gym and do all these things, but I can't
Yeah.
because I can hurt myself. And simply just turning on my knee wrong, I can have another dislocation. And it's easy, very, once you've done it once, you can do it again, is what they say. And I got very lucky. I did not have to get surgery because that makes it even worse. I healed really nicely, which is more of a positive of EDS, is your you heal quite quickly, but at the same time, it doesn't always heal the right way. So you'll have
Mhm.
issues with that. Like you have really young looking skin because you have a lot of collagen with EDS. So there's like a lot of positives,
Mhm.
but I've definitely had to go through that grief process of knowing that my life wasn't going to be the same.
Yeah.
And I was going to be dealing with this for my life, and at some point, I might not even be able to walk anymore as normal or be able to teach anymore because I can't stand for long periods of time without something hurting. That my hip will always pop in and out, and I have to wait for it to pop back in. I actually had that where I was limping, and it looked really funny for everyone else involved with me. And I had gone to a chiropractor to have him pop it back in, and he said he couldn't do it because it was that stuck. And so I just had to wait for it to pop back in. And eventually it did, but it's just that constant frustration of and not knowing like what the day is going to look like, because the next day I could be fine and the next day I'm not, and I still have to go to work. It's not like I can lay in bed
Gotta
all
live
day and
your
do
life.
nothing. Yeah, I have to live life, and sometimes it's really hard to when you're in pain all the time. And I know that sounds really depressing, but it's of
How it
that
is
grief
for
that you
you.
feel. Yeah.
Journey, how has Jesus Christ played a part in all of this?
Every step of the way he's been there. He's always taken care of me, no matter what. He's put people in my life that have helped me to stay strong and to keep going. If anything, it's increased my faith of knowing that he'll always be there. And it may not always feel that way, but he made sure that I was able to get diagnosed. Not many people get diagnosed with what I have because it's still very new, even though it's starting to come out more. It's starting to get more in the media. More people are talking about it, but it's, I guess, in the simplest way of saying, it's just knowing that he's there. I know that's kind of simple, but he's always taking care of me. And I shared this with you about, like, in Relief Society, about my preachical blessing, where I had actually got my preachical blessing when I think I was 13 when I had gotten mine. And it had talked about, and this was before I had even had an inkling of what I was going to go through. And it said that one of my spiritual gifts was the gift of being healed by faith. If I had faith, that I could be healed. And time again, every single time I've gotten a blessing, I've had that comfort and that healing and that knowledge of knowing that he was there. And he always confirms that what I've been thinking about or praying about is always in that blessing, which I just absolutely love. He always adds that little inkling of, hey, I know you've been praying. And like time and time again, like even more recently when I was getting set apart for my for oh my goodness, for my most recent calling, I had been praying about wondering if my Father in heaven was proud of me. And in that blessing, they said, your Heavenly Father is so proud of you. And I was like, oh my gosh, like he always throws those little things in there. And as we know, I'm an emotional wreck. But he always confirms to me that he is there. And along the way, it just increased my faith, and it's also helped me to relate to people who are going through this and not knowing. And when I hear all these medical stories of these people that don't even know what they have, and I know what I have, which is such a blessing. I could be in so much pain and so much frustration and not knowing what it is, and I know what I have.
Yeah. A diagnosis, as hard as it is to hear, is brings peace.
Yeah, in the weirdest way, it
Yeah,
does.
that's
Hopefully that made
awesome.
sense.
No, that was lovely. Thank you. Who in your life do you feel like has shown up the most for you throughout this trial?
I would probably say my mom. She has grown so much as a person because of her helping me along. The person she was when I was first diagnosed to the person she is now is a completely different person. She has gained this patience and this understanding of everything. And she's so aware of me where if let's say we're going on a hike or we're going somewhere where she knows that I might hurt myself, she's always, Kim, you got to be careful, take your time. And she, in a weird way, I feel like I don't like to say this like in a, I'm trying to say the best way to say this, but it's almost that my trials have helped her grow as a person, but also me grow as a person.
Yeah.
And it, in like the most humblest way of saying that, because I have, not only do I have chronic things, I also have more like mental health things that I go through. And it's helped us connect in a way that I don't think we would have if this hadn't happened. And coming to understand that life is can be difficult, but there's hope at the end, and that there always will be somebody there, even if it's not like a physical person. It could be Jesus Christ being there. And there are times where there is a loneliness, even though she is there and she's helped me along. Because there is still things that I'm finding out, things that she's finding out, because we're still growing as people. But I would probably say her for like more that physical person. And sometimes she can't always be there because she's busy and she's a mom. And even though we're all adults, she's still your mom. And she
Yeah.
still worries. So, yeah, I would probably say my mom.
That's awesome. Yeah. I feel like, especially when our health hits the fan,
Yeah,
family, the people that show up, it just means the world because
yeah,
sometimes you can't even just function normally
no,
and you really need help. So I
yeah,
like that you pointed out that your mom has grown a lot too. Those that are family members or friends of people that have these chronic health issues, like they can probably grow a lot too in the whole process because
yeah.
of the pain of watching someone you love suffer.
Hmm.
I have family that deals with chronic illness and it hurts, it's hard, but it does grow you too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And then throughout this, have you had any spiritual experiences that you would like to share?
I guess the first thing that comes to mind would probably be when I had dislocated my knee. I literally dislocated my knee in an orthopedic doctor's office. And that's where you go after you dislocate your knee. And I was in the right place at the right time. I was able to walk out in a knee brace and not wonder if I had go to the hospital and have all these crazy hospital bills. I just paid my copay and it was all in one visit. And I literally, what I guess in a weird way, even though it was this really sucky experience, it was so spiritual for me because I was taken care of and I was in the right place at the right time. And I wasn't in a lot of pain. It was almost like that, like almost like a veil of like protection, that I wasn't screaming my head off. I wasn't doing any of that. I was quite calm. And I know that's because of my Father in heaven. There's no way that what I had gone through that someone wouldn't be crying and screaming, because even my own, one of my other sisters, she had slipped on a towel and had dislocated her knee, and she was like hysterically crying and freaking out, and I hadn't done that. And I know it's because of my Father in heaven. And I didn't need surgery. I did. A lot of people need surgery. Tearing all those ligaments, it is very much the course of action to get surgery, and I didn't need to. And I healed, and it took longer than what it would be necessarily with surgery, but I was willing to wear the brace and to heal and do those things. And I was in the right place at the right time because of him. And I guess that's like the main thing that comes to mind. I've also found that I'm able to touch people in a different way because I can understand pain in
Hmm.
the mental sense and the physical sense. My mom put it so beautifully where, and this isn't doctrine, she literally said this. And she says, sometimes in our lives we have to go through these really terrible things so that we can understand others. And she said, we are brought on this earth to become like our Father in heaven. And we are promised kingdoms of our own when we we pass away and we become eternal beings. And how could you understand your spirit children if that's the course of action that you take? Because we know we will have children and the cycle goes on. How could you understand if you've never been through it?
Yeah.
And and it was so beautifully put. My mom is wise beyond her years, and I don't think she realizes it. Um, but I don't think you can come to have the empathy or the kindness or the love for others if you don't experience those things. Because if everything was handed to you and everything was easy, I don't think I would be the person that I am today with the empathy and the love that I have for people if I hadn't gone through what I had gone through.
All right. What is your message to people that have been diagnosed with a similar illness and struggle?
I know it goes without saying, and they probably hear all the time, and it's so frustrating, but don't give up. If you give up, you're losing out not only on getting answers, but also the peace that comes with knowing. And there's also some unpeace, if that's no, whatever the opposite of peace is, frustration with knowing, but don't give up. Try to be that really annoying person that just asks all the questions, and don't be afraid. I still do this sometimes, but don't be afraid to tell your medical people everything, because if you hold back information, it can hinder you in the long term. If you're feeling pain, if you're feeling this, or you're feeling that, tell them, because I will hold back because I don't, which plays into like mental health a little bit, but I hold back things because either one, I'm afraid to overshare or make people uncomfortable or feel like I'm nuts or crazy or things like that, that negative self-talk that comes with being human. But tell people everything. Some days are going to be bad, some days are going to be good. Take it one step at a time and kind of figure out how it works for you to know your limits, because the amount of times that I've done something and I know that I can't, just being okay with that. Because it can be really frustrating to want to do your things. Like, I can kind of elaborate on that a little bit, where I'd gone to this hike and it was literally at a full on, like almost 90-degree incline. I was not wearing the right shoes. It was like a whole thing. Long story. But knowing that I could make it to the top. And that is okay. Okay. It is okay not to make it to the top of the mountain that has almost a 90-degree incline. Okay. And knowing this is where I need to stop. And that's okay if you need to stop and reevaluate or just not do something because you know that it can make things worse, or that it can make things more difficult, just along those lines, and that there's hope and there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it makes you such a good person. I hate to say it, and that does not sound humble at all, but it makes you sympathize and empathize with people so much more, because the pain that comes with it, the physical pain, but also the mental pain. And you can have this relationship with your Father in heaven that I don't think that I would have if I didn't go through these things. I wouldn't feel like I would need to rely on him, if that makes sense. I wouldn't have anything making me rely on him. I have to rely on him. I have to trust in him. And I can't remember the other thought that I was going to say, but just I wouldn't have the relationship that I have with him. I wouldn't have the testimony that I have with him. I wouldn't have be able to use that spiritual gift of having faith, but that I can be healed by faith. And I wouldn't be able to really understand. And now I remember my other thought is there is so much joy in pain. And we wouldn't be able to know the joy and understand the joy if we didn't have it. And we wouldn't be able to grow as people and I always say this all the time, and it's funny because this is also like confirmed to me in a blessing that my Father in heaven is aware that I say this, but all through college and all more at least in the last 5ish years, I've been saying find the joy in the journey because JOY is in the word journey, and just finding, even though it's scattered throughout the word, and it's almost, if you look at the word, JO is at the beginning, but Y is at the end. So
Mm-hmm.
looking for it all the way to the end. It's almost that, I guess you could say, that eternal perspective. And I think it was President Nelson that had talked about having us think celestial, thinking of a higher self for ourselves. And that, at least that was my understanding of it, was taking that eternal perspective. So that's probably the biggest things is there's hope. There's going to be hard days. And it's okay to say there's going to be hard days. It is okay to be negative sometimes, okay? Because we won't be able to see the positive. Obviously, we don't want to stay there. We want to go into the hole with the ladder and then go out of the hole with the ladder. Not just dig the hole and then be down there. Just looking for the little things, almost like that analogy of that there's day and there's night,
Mm-hmm.
and that there's going to be dark times and then there's going to be bright times, but there's always going to be a new day. I guess that's what I would say.
Beautiful. I actually really like how you put that.
Thank you.
I'd love for you to share your testimony of Jesus Christ
Yes,
now.
of course. I know this is going to sound very primary, but I like to bear my testimony. I know the church is true. I know that our Heavenly Father is aware of us, and He wants us to be aware of Him, and He wants us to rely on Him. That's why He's there. And He's not just there to be a heavenly being that controls everything. He honestly doesn't really, I honestly believe that He doesn't really control much because of our agency. But I know that He trusts us and He gives us the things that we go through because He trusts us. And He knows the things that we need to go through to grow as people and to be the best version of ourselves and be well rounded. I know that the gospel is true. I know that we have the wonderful blessing of having modern day prophets that educate us and teach us and give us that just little sliver of heaven of how it's going to be, where there's so much joy and peace. I know that there is peace and joy in pain. I am so grateful for all these experiences that I have had, even though they've been sucky sometimes. I truly believe that we were aware of what we were going to go through before we came here and what we needed to do to be that well-rounded individual, and our Heavenly Father is just helping us along to get there. I am so grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the people in my life that just bring that little bit of joy in the journey, and I am so grateful for this, to be a member of this church, and I know that I would not be where I am today without it. I feel like I would have such a darkness in my life if I didn't have that. And I wouldn't carry, at least I've been told that I carry a light about me. And I know that's because of the joy of the gospel and the joy of knowing, and the I personally feel that it's the light of Christ that I'm carrying that with me because I rely on Him so much. And at least I hope that's still a thing that I'm doing. And I know that if we rely on Him and we trust in Him and we strive for that eternal perspective, that we will get there. And I say these things in the name of my Savior Redeemer, Jesus Christ. Amen.
And it was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly, for your time and for your
Yeah, of
story.
course.
And anybody that wants to reach out to you, is it okay if I leave your email in the
Absolutely.
comments below? Awesome.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And yeah, we hope you all have a wonderful day.
Bye.